Welcome to Synthesize This. In this episode, we've got our EURORACK module for the first time in this series. So I'm not going after a specific sound, but I'm going to be playing around with the modules I just got, which involves a sampler and a voltage-controlled filter. And it's going to sound a little bit like this. Let's get started. All right, so let's get right into it. First, I'm going to quickly explain all the gear that you're seeing here. So over here, we have our EURORACK module. I've got the TipTop One, which is a sample player. There's a filter here, the VCF-74, which is an analog filter. There's a micro VCA by Intellijel here, which is a VCA. We have Peaks here by Mutable Instruments, which converts gate signals to control voltages. And in this case, we're going to be using it as an envelope generator. Over here, it's not a EURORACK module, obviously, but we have a Korg SQ-1, which is a little sequencer here. And what's cool about this is that it has 8-inch jacks that output CV and gate, which we can interface directly with the EURORACK module here. And over here, I have some other gear. So we have the OTO Machines BAM, which is a reverb unit. So I'm going to be feeding the output of the modular, which will go through this line output here, out to back, into here, and then stereo outputs into my recording device. And finally over here we have a Korg Volca Beats, which is an analog drum machine, which I'm going to be syncing with the SQ-1 so we can add a little bit of beats to our little melody here. Alright, so we're just going to create a little patch which is fairly simple. We're just going to be demonstrating how this sample player is going to be run through the filter and then basically through the reverb, and then we're going to use the VCA to control the shape of the volume, and we're going to use this envelope generator to control the VCA. All right, so first let's go through the audio signal path. So we have an audio output here from the TipTop One, and I'm going to feed it to the input of the filter here. Next, following the chain, we're going to go from the output of the filter into the input of my VCA here. Next, we're going to go from the output of the VCA, and this is a 2-channel VCA, so we're only going to be using one of the channels. So I'm going to go from the output of that into the left line input here, or line output more accurately, and this will be going out here from this jack into here. And that basically completes the audio path. So again, we have the sample player through the filter, through the VCA, and out straight out the outputs. The remaining of the stuff will be used just to trigger the sounds and to shape the volume. So I'm going to be using this SQ-1 sequencer here, which has 2 channels of CV and gates, and I can configure it in one of these settings here to have 2 independently running 8-step sequencers. So I'm going to use the gate from the first channel to trigger the sample here. So the sample has a gate input. I'm going to be using the CV output from the sequencer into the CV input of the sample player. And what this will allow us to do is with these little knobs, I can set different CV values, and I can even quantize it to minor and major scales with these settings here. And that'll basically modulate or control the pitch of the sample being played so we can get like melodies coming out. Next, I'm going to take the gate channel from the second channel of the sequencer here and feed it into the trigger 1 of the peaks. And what this will do is basically will trigger the envelope, which I have it set to envelope mode right now. And the output of the envelope will come out here. So then I'm going to take the output of the envelope and feed it into the input of the first channel of the VCA, the one I'm using. And what this translates to is that this ADSR shape, when triggered by the gate, will produce a little control voltage shape. And that shape will control the volume effectively of the sound we're hearing. All right, so let's stop right here and see what it sounds like so far. So I'm going to hit play here, which will start the sequencer, and it'll start outputting gates and CV signals. And so now you can hear the current sample we have selected is being played, and the melody is controlled by these little knobs here. And I have it set to minor scale, so it's being quantized actually. now I can play around with the filter here. And this filter has an input to be able to control the cutoff frequency with another CV signal. So I'm going to use the second channel of the sequencer, the CV output of that, into the cutoff frequency input here of the filter. Increase the resonance. And as you can hear now, this lower set of knobs controls the CV signal that is being fed to control the cutoff frequency. And the second channel I've set to be linear, so it's not actually quantized to a musical scale, because obviously we don't want that in this case. Now if we want, we can add a little bit of drums. So the SQ-1 has a sync output here, and I can feed that to the sync input of the Volca Beats here, and then hit play for the drums. And now we can engage the reverb here. All right, so I'm going to end it there. Hopefully you guys had fun watching that. All right, make sure to subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. I'm definitely going to make more EURORACK based videos, but I'm also going to continue making other synth and drum machine and effects videos. And I will see you guys in the next one.